The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all doing well. First of all, I would like to wish Ramadan Kareem to everyone celebrating, and welcome on today's webinar. So today's webinar is focusing on a robust operational process design to minimize business risk. My name is Risi, and I'm the project manager of this webinar. For all the questions you may have, you can email me later, or you can type them on the question panel that you see on your screen. Kindly note that at the end of the session, each one of you will receive on your email certificate of attendees. The webinar is on silent mode, and you can only listen the trainer speaking. Today with me, I'm happy to introduce one of the leading experts at LEORON, Mr. Tyrone Butler, with more than 25 plus years of experience into the continuous improvement, process design, operational excellence, Six Sigma, and so on. Tyrone also has multinational experience, and most probably he has been working with some of your companies. Tyrone, it's a pleasure having you today. So it's your show, our show. You can start. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Like I said, I know some of you are still experiencing Ramadan. Like I said, blessings to all of you. But today's topic, I like to jump straight in, is robust operational process design to minimize business risk. As you all know, we're in a pandemic, and the pandemic is impacting business. And businesses have found out new versions of risk they didn't know about. So one of the key things we like to look at is there a way that a business can be prepared for a pandemic or any type of event that might occur through robust operational process design? So let's take a look at that together. All right, as you heard earlier, my name is Tyrone Butler. I'm an executive master black belt. I've been doing this for over 20 plus years. I have a lot of experience in just about every industry, healthcare, finance, oil and gas, you name it. I've been there, done that. I was personally trained by Dr. Michael Harry to the executive master black belt level. And he passed a couple of years ago, but his teachings definitely move on through me sharing my experiences with you. All right, so why am I speaking today? Because there's a great topic to talk about. I've been doing, like I said, business process optimization 20 plus years, Lean Six Sigma, the two methodologies of choice that I've used over the past few years, allows us to look at robust design to minimize business risk. We're also going to look at operational excellence to meet customers' expectations. And over time, you'll see that your company standard culture will change to what you expect. So what is the objective I have for you? What will you walk away with later by the end of this session? By the end of this session, the objective is it will enable you to see the value of using Lean Six Sigma as a methodology to achieve the following: evolve your business, even in a pandemic situation, increase profitability, regardless of the noise in your environment, be robust to risk, regardless of what the risk is, and of course, last but not least, delight your customers. So the key topics of discussion today are risk management in a pandemic. Number two, we'll go over customer-centric culture. Then we'll look at the differences between continuous improvement and operational excellence. And then we'll top it off with robust design, one of my favorites, as a competitive advantage. All right, let's go for it. So I'm actually going to look in the chat window as we go along. I like to have fun with the chat window when possible. And let's see. If you guys, I don't know, Rissy, is the chat window on? Can they type in the chat window at all or just questions?
Yeah, there is a chat window down there.
Okay, guys, could you test the chat window if you can? I want everybody to give me a letter T for test so that you can actually go along with me in this presentation. Oh, I see, Rissy, you wrote a letter T. Everyone find the chat window, type a letter T. I enjoy these presentations a lot more when you guys can actually interact with me. It doesn't seem like they can, Rissy, because only I see a T from you.
Okay, so let's continue. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, if you guys can't do that with me, fine. But at least you can write your questions as we go along. All right. So like I said, we're gonna cover these 4 topics. And as we go along, if you have any questions, please type it into the question area. Okay, next. All right, here's a big picture here from New York City. As you already understand, the pandemic hit New York in a very big way. New York is a place that's very near and dear to my heart because that's where I was born. I am a New Yorker. As you can see from this photo, before the pandemic, this is Grand Central Station. Business was booming. People were rustling about, no issues. Look at the picture after the pandemic. No movement. People are frozen. People are scared. Businesses are closed. People are confused. This is the impact of COVID-19, the pandemic. COVID-19 global business impact basically can be summed up into 3 pieces. The first piece is pre-pandemic. Before the pandemic hit, most businesses were led by leadership strategy, which is what you expect. But they were also driven by profit, productivity, growth, and all these other things. So pre-pandemic, this is how business was run. But during the pandemic, which is what we're living in now, most businesses realize something. They're not resilient or prepared for such an event as a pandemic. And also businesses posted losses that are into the millions and going into the billions. You look at companies like Disney. Disney was one of those businesses too big to fail. And if you notice, an amusement park is something where there's too much commingling of people. So Disney pretty much shut down. They can't even make movies because you can't go to the movie theater anymore. So there's like a whole entertainment industry that shut down. You think about Las Vegas, people visit Las Vegas, all that shut down. So businesses that were super profitable, all of a sudden posting losses and layoffs. I have some friends that live in Las Vegas right now. You don't want to hear the horror stories. All right, now the next question is post-pandemic, the future. That's the big question mark. What are businesses going to do next? Well, a lot of businesses still don't know what they're going to do because they don't know what opportunities lie in front of them. So there's still kind of a panic situation. And a lot of businesses are restarting slowly with no plan to be able to adapt to the new requirements of a virus situation within the world we are today. And why are they driven? What are they driven by? They're driven by unknown, they're driven by chaos, and they're driven by uncertainty. So what do these 3 words mean to us from a business standpoint? Well, one of them is closed due to coronavirus. Another one is social distancing. Another one, it means control capacity. Only 25% of the people can enter at a time. So as you look at these pictures here, you can see the reality of it. Up top, you see China manufacturing. Almost nothing's being made. There's no supplied parts. Here, this is a slow boat from China. It's not moving anywhere. This is Las Vegas. This is the airport's empty. This is Microsoft. Nobody's in there buying a computer. So the impact from a government perspective is, what do they say do? minimize manufacturing, global travel, large people entertainment venues are shut down, and government say stay home. What are people saying socially? Well, they're saying we still want to get married. So you have two people getting married with nobody around them. You have people still graduating. And over to my right, they're graduating without their colleagues. Look at this picture. This is the person with a mask in front of a forest. And look, here's this school sign I used to remember as a kid, where you and a parent would walk across the street. Now they have the parent there just guiding and yelling at the kid, walk quickly. I thought this would never happen. And then you have some people having fun with McDonald's. This is McDonald's, the Gaussian arches together. Now they're separating them. They got Starbucks here with a mask. The NBA, I don't know if the NBA will ever come back. They show the basketball player is running away from the NBA side. So this social distancing and controlled capacity has changed the world we live in. There's other ways it's changed the world. It's how we interact with doctors, telemedicine. So not only has this pandemic caused losses, but it also created new opportunities. A couple of the new opportunities are people are taking control of their lives. People are taking daily schedules of what they're going to do with themselves, home chores, creativity time, academic time, and they're actually working with their children more, homeschooling. People are buying food instead of going to restaurants. They're having it delivered by Grubhub and other types of companies that deliver food. Then this esports is becoming a big thing. This example of some cyclists who can't get outside and ride the bike. You know what they did? They bought the indoor bikes that have the television screen on it, and they can work out and compete against other people globally. And now this esports is sports with an E in front of it, so that now you can do this through the internet. And also, of course, social media is booming. So as you can see, this pandemic has caused a lot of risk. It's caused a lot of losses for businesses, and everyone's looking for an answer. One answer might be with robots. There's a group of people out there that's dying to get the robots into society. One of the groups is called the AI Robotics Society, and what they want to do is put what they call artificial intelligence and robots into the workforce. So instead of you working with you next to another human, it'll be you next to a robot. And it might happen as soon as the next time business starts to open up. So do we know all the answers? No, we don't know all the answers to the pandemic, but people are coming up with new creative ways to minimize disruption of businesses. So back to the definitions of risk. What is risk? The unknown, happening or existing without one's knowledge. Obviously, that's not good. Chaos, a state when everything is out of order. That's not good either. Uncertainty, a feeling or attitude that one does not know the truth. That's not good either. Any of these types of risks associated with a business would not be considered healthy or good for the business to thrive. So once again, business risk terms. Risk, a situation involving exposure to danger or loss. Obviously, risk is something you want to manage in business. So what is something or someone that you would like to cover in a risk situation? Obviously, you want to cover your business, and you want coverage of your employees, your assets, and etc. So business risk is quite important for every business. How do you do it? There's actually a group that looks into business risk. It's called Business Risk Management. And what do? They create plans. They create plans by identifying the risk in your business, assessing what type of risk could be associated with your thing that you identified. Then you have consultants that come in and they look at your risk management system. they look at your loss prevention planning, and they look at your business continuity planning. If you guys remember, business continuity plans are, what do you do if something like an event happens, an earthquake? How do you keep your internet running? How do you keep your email running? How do you keep production running in the case of a natural disaster? Many different types of events. And that's what business continuity management is about. Well, guess what? What if you don't know what could happen, like a pandemic? What if you plan for everything? What if there's a meteorite shower that comes in and hits your business? Obviously, that's not part of any risk mitigation plan. Well, if you can't plan for everything, then what can you do to save your business? Well, what you can do is be proactive and design your processes to be robust to almost any change. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So when it comes to risk management, what do you think you should do? Should you be proactive or should you be reactive? In the question area, you guys write, what should you be, how should you be when it comes to risk management? Should you be proactive or reactive? Hopefully everyone says proactive. Obviously, you don't want to wait until risk happens and then all of a sudden you have to mitigate that. So you want to be as proactive as possible when it comes to risk. So let's give you a scenario. I like this scenario here. This makes a lot of sense. So think about this. If you're in a situation, say you're in a pandemic and there's a lot of unrest in the streets and people are robbing or stealing and you're afraid for your life. And you say to yourself, wow, if I go on the streets, you never know, something bad may happen to me. Someone might attack me in the streets. You never know. So how would you protect yourself if you had fear that you might be attacked in the streets? Would you buy health insurance to pay for the medical bills in case you were in a street fight and got beat up? You'd be like this guy here. You would have medical bills that cover a broken arm, medical bills that cover a broken leg. But at the end of the day, you're still disabled. And that's what risk management is. It's coverage against a loss. Let's look at another one. Buying health insurance to pay for lost wages. Lost wages is money you cannot get because you're injured. Maybe you can't use your mouse properly because your arm is hurt. Maybe you have to use, instead of being able to type, you can't type. So now you're losing lost wages. That's what risk management is. It's like health insurance. Risk management will pay you for that risk. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have insurance that if you get hurt, you'll get your medical paid for? Would you rather have lost wages? You will get paid if you cannot work? Or the other two, which is be trained on how to defend yourself if you do get in a street fight. That would be process management, not risk management. And then also, if the process management is not good enough to get you out of that situation, then a weapon may be needed, such as a pepper spray or whatever, to ward off an enemy or a bad person trying to bother you. And that would be robust product or service design, some type of technology. So please write in the question window, what would you like to do? Would you rather minimize risk and hope something bad doesn't happen? Or would you like to defend yourself and proactively create bulletproof processes and designs that won't break under any condition? All right, you make your choice. All right, so let's talk about risk management. Let's get into the details. Like I said, I don't have anything against risk management. So all of you risk managers, I don't want you to say, oh, Tyrone said don't do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying you can do risk management, but don't count on it in every situation. You can probably lean on a better design than you have to pay for a loss. Here's a good example here. It's kind of hard for you to read here, but you see this hammer is COVID-19, and look, it shattered the insurance barrier. In this particular situation, it says, insurers resist application for Pennsylvania Supreme Court exercise of jurisdiction over COVID-19 coverage cases. So you know what that means? They're having a battle in court, insurers versus the policyholders. The insurer's like, hey, you weren't insured against the pandemic. You were insured against all these other ones. Look, you're insured against a natural hazard. That didn't happen. You were insured against liability. That's not it. Environmental, that lightning strike. Natural disaster. I don't believe that was Mother Nature. Theft or burglary. So whenever you have a risk coverage, it's like car insurance. Whenever your car gets hit, you have to prove that it was under coverage. If it has hail damage, sometimes hail damage is not covered by your car insurance. So the same thing applies to risk management coverage. If that particular risk or event happens and you're not covered, you'll be in court like these other guys. You've been paying money and you've been wide open with no coverage for this kind of situation. So that's why you have to be careful about risk management to cover your losses. Here's another one. So what's the benefits of risk management? If risk management is not bulletproof, why do it? Well, there are some benefits for it. Sometimes you can get a safer operation. You can go to sleep at night knowing that the critical risk areas do have some mitigation around it. They say it's an effective way to invest your money. I think robust design might be a little better. More value for your investment in insurance. What does insurance do again? I told you guys, in case something bad happens, insurance covers you. And this is the big thing, loss prevention. Loss prevention. It doesn't really prevent the loss, but it prevents you from experiencing loss because they'll pay you. That's what insurance is for. Like when your car gets hit. Loss prevent, it doesn't prevent your car from getting hit. It just says if your car is hit, we will cover you with the expenses. And at the end of the day, you rather not have an accident. So here's an example of risk happens. This happened in the USA, unfortunately. Here is a tractor trailer that was full of N95 coronavirus masks. As you already know, a coronavirus mask is like pure gold right now. We have a shortage of PPE. We can't get enough PPE to the hospitals, but yet and still, we couldn't even ship an 18-wheeler from point A to point B without this kind of stuff happening. So what does that show you? We don't have a real good handle on risk management. Somebody should have saw that as a potential risk and managed that. What's the reality of risk with the pandemic globally? This is a snapshot from today, Johns Hopkins Hospital. It says over 4 million total confirmed cases globally. And as you can see, the darker the spots, the more of the virus is located in that area. And as you can see, North America, where I live, it looks like one big spot. Okay, South America, not so much, Africa, not so much, but over here, Europe, a lot. Not so much Asia. Australia, practically nothing. But then again, that doesn't mean they don't have cases. Remember, in order to be flagged as a case, you have to be tested. So if there's no test, you don't know. So this is not a conclusive measure. All I can say is just an indicator of we do have risk out there. So once again, risk from a current point of view. Currently, we do have risk, and some countries are prepared. And you look at this chart, the ranking of global pandemic preparedness, they have US at the top. I don't know how we made it there, but we're there. And all the other countries are following suit. So a lot of countries are not prepared for this. But if you look, infectious disease is not new to mankind. Look at that, 1300s, the Black Plague, 1800s, cholera, Spanish flu. Look, millions and millions of people have died over the years. So these are over what, the last 100 years or so? What are we looking at? So at the end of the day, we're gonna have more infectious disease. It's not stopping. So it's not like we had two and then we never had any more. It's a continuum. So whatever we got with COVID, just give us a few more years, there'll be something else. So don't be surprised, manage the risk. That's the key term right there. Don't be surprised, manage the risk. So how do you manage risk? Well, obviously there's risk management, which is the traditional way, but I'm pitching something new to you, which is risk management and process management. So let me tell you why I'm bringing process management into the picture. Risk management has kind of a negative connotation because you have the word loss there. And as I went over the results of risk management, it's more so after a bad thing happens, you get compensated and hopefully you can return back to normal operation quickly. So it doesn't do really any prevention of the event. It just prevents how you feel as a loss. But here, operational excellence, that's very positive in profile and positive. And what it'll do, it'll allow you to look at the business process and allow you to make focus safe operations, investment in operational excellence, investment in process design, investment in process optimization, and customer focus. So instead of loss prevention, you can look at process optimization so you won't experience a loss. So let's look at process management further. Business process management, also known as BPM, is looking at your process in order to evolve your business to win. So what do? You look at all your critical business processes, you look at continuous improvement, you look at your IT using Agile, Scrum, and all these other methodologies, and you look at operational excellence. That's the one I want to key in on. Operational excellence, and how do you look at it? From a customer-centric focus. If you can combine operational excellence with a customer-centric focus, that's how you can develop robust process designs that will allow you to be robust to whatever event may occur. So when we're talking about a pandemic, what was the big issue with the pandemic? People could not work from home. Well, you could have designed that so people could work from home. So now, actually, once the pandemic hit, a lot of business started working on the fly, and they found creative ways to allow people to work from home. They took computer systems, they made people's internet robust at the house. The IT groups were able to connect the systems through software like Team and Zoom and a lot of different platforms. So a lot of platforms were being either invented or repurposed to allow work from home. So if this was planned, when the pandemic hit, it would have been seamless, but nobody planned for that. So post-pandemic, so after the pandemic, what are companies going to do regarding risk management? They're probably going to go back to business as usual, right? Because they don't know any other way. So business as usual would be what? Call the risk management team and say, hey, we had a big pandemic. We want to make sure that the next time we have one, we want to make sure we have a loss mitigation plan for that. Hey, a pandemic might happen again. Let's make sure we have a business continuity plan to mitigate that risk with the impact of another pandemic in the future. But we're not guaranteed to improve. We're just guaranteed to mitigate, but not to improve. But the third way you can manage risk is the one I recommend. Check this box. I believe that you should use operational excellence and robust design as a better way to approach risk management by designing processes that have robust business continuity by design, not by a mitigation plan. And I'll show you that in the slides coming up. So how do you create a business that's a winning business? You can ask some companies like Amazon. You can ask some companies like Netflix. And the reason why I mentioned these two companies is because these companies have adopted a customer-centric business model. What they realized is businesses should be focused on the customer, not competitors. The old school way to manage business was, hey, what are the competitors doing? Whatever the competitors are doing, let's do what they're doing, plus something different. So now the new business model is, we're not going to look at what the competitors are doing. We're going to monitor competitors and be obsessed with the customers. So know what we're doing? We're having focus groups. We're having surveys. We're constantly asking the customer, what can we do to gain your business? And then after we gain their business, we'll monitor the competitors to see if they have something different that will enhance the customer experience, but they're not going to try to mimic the competitors. That's old school thinking. So the chronological way to win is customer-centric business model, then continuous improvement. The old school way to win was quality. You're at quality this, quality that, quality this. So you know what they would say? If we had great quality, we would sell everything. That's not true anymore. The only reason why you were able to have great quality and sell things because there was not that many competitors and there wasn't really the internet for you to have choices. When you have choices, the competition is more stiff. And when you got choices, guess what? People might not choose you. So when there was only like 2 or 3 creators of makers of washing machines, was it GE, Whirlpool, and I believe Sears in the US. And now there's LG, Samsung. There's so many competitors that are making washing machines and dryers. So if you're not constantly innovating and you're not constantly making it better, you're going to lose out to the competition. I haven't seen a Sears washer and dryer in years, so I don't know. So anyway, continuous improvement is necessary. Operational excellence. How do you make your processes internal focused to deliver what the customer is asking for? Just because you want to deliver to the customer and you're focused on them doesn't mean you can do it. So you have to have processes internal that allow you to deliver to the customer. One of the biggest problems of iPhone, if I remember right, iPhone was making a great product, but if I remember correctly, they couldn't deliver them fast enough. If I remember, I saw on television, people are sleeping overnight in front of the iPhone store, that people were, because there weren't enough supply. There was a bigger demand than there was a supply. So having processes that can keep up with the demand is quite critical. And then last but not least, robust process design. Why is that important? Because like I said, stuff happens. And when stuff happens, you want to be robust to that. And that's what robust process design is. When something happens, it doesn't stop you from doing what you're trying to do. I'll give you a per example. If you remember Intel makes wafers. Intel takes silicon, they cut it into wafers to make chips. One of the big things they found that when they cut the wafers, there's contaminants in the air. And the contaminants in the air would give them a very high defect rate for a utilization of their silicon wafers. And they said, wow, we're stuck here. Every time we cut a wafer, the air contaminates it. But we can't control all the air inside the world. And they said, well, what can we do? So that's when they came up with the clean room concept for wafer fab. So what they would do is make a big, huge, giant clean room. Very expensive, but the return on investment is huge. So a lot of times with robust design, you'll make a big investment up front, but the return on investment is huge. So creating a clean room allows you to have a robust design where you can create whatever products you want by making the process robust to the contaminants in the air. You didn't get rid of the contaminants in the air, you made your process robust to it. And that's a good example of robust process design. So let's get into it. All right, so our number 2 component of instruction today was customer-centric culture. I mentioned that. So let's look at it. What does customer-centric mean? Obviously, the word customer, that's who you serve. Every business has a supplier who gives you things. Then you as the business processes it. And then you give it to someone or some entity, and it's called a customer. Customer-centric means you're always focused on giving the customer the service or product they're looking for. It's also called client-centric. Now, why do you want to be client-centric? As I said earlier, in order to sell in a competitive environment, you have to be looking at the customer, not just internal business. This is the old school way of doing things. I'd say back before the internet was really big, it was okay to be a G, a Sears, and only worry about internal KPIs. What are some internal KPIs? Productivity, quality, what else? Throughput, research and development. These are all internal things. But if you look at external, what is the external things now? Relationships, collaboration, the customer value. There's unlocked potential by using the customer as a magnet to attract you to your next big innovation. So when you're so internally focused, it's like being in a fishbowl. You can't see what's out in the big ocean. So really you need to take off your myopic glasses and look at what the customer is looking for. So as you can see in this model, business-centric is just one component, but customer-centric is your internal business as well as your external business combined. So here's an example of a customer-centric business model. As I mentioned before, you got Airbnb. Who else you have? You have what's these guys? Amazon. And who else you got? You got there's just a myriad of companies out there that are doing this customer-focused business model. And what are the key three components? Operational excellence, as I told you before. You gotta have it. And what does operational excellence do? It gives you what buying experiences are we trying to create and what processes must we excel in. So this helps you to understand how to meet the customer needs. And then the customer focused strategy is, what are we going to sell? What do customers want to buy? That's where your strategy comes into play. And then your organization, that's your people. How do we make our teams work as one culture to produce products? I know when I was at Dell Computer, we used Lean and Six Sigma as a methodology to change the culture of continuous improvement. So that's an example. So here's some customer-centric businesses, as I mentioned before. You probably heard of them: Amazon.com, Intuit, Microsoft, Southwest Airlines, Delta. If you look at each one of these mission or vision statements, let's look what it says. Our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Intuit, to improve its customers' financial lives. Microsoft, enable people and businesses throughout the world to realize their full potential. Southwest, dedication to highest quality of customer service. And last but not least, Delta, always tell the truth, keep our deals ready, and care for our customers. So inside the mission and vision, they're actually talking about the customer. I challenge all of you folks here that are representing a company, when you get off this call, go and look at your mission and vision statement. I can almost guarantee if we did a poll, 50 to 75% of the companies represented here do not have a focused, customer-centric mission or vision statement. And what I'm trying to tell you is, this is the first thing that a customer sees when they go to your webpage. When they go to your webpage and they see this mission or vision, a lot of them still say things like, our mission and vision is to be the best in the marketplace, or our mission and vision is to be safe and not put pollutants into the air. That's great for society, but I'm a customer. I want you to talk about me, personally talk about me in your mission and vision. And anything other than these type of statements, customers are not going to pay attention to it. So at the end of the day, what do you want to have in your company? A customer-centric culture. This is what I've been preaching from the beginning. How do you get it? You map out the customer journey as a life cycle. You refine it. You align it with your technologies. You engage your leadership. You focus on developing around targets that the customer are looking for. Integrate your businesses together so that they can work together towards a common focus. One of the things that Jeff Bezos used to do, he used to take a chair and put it in a room anywhere there's a meeting. And he said, before you start the meeting, look at that chair and imagine there's a customer there and say, you know what? Our meeting's purpose is to do 1, 2, 3 in order to do what for that customer. If you cannot come up with a synergy or connection between a customer and this meeting, the meeting is canceled. And I think that's a great way, because there's a lot. I remember when I worked at other companies, we had meetings to have meetings. They're like, why are we at this meeting? Well, because the other meeting didn't go so well, so we're having a meeting to have a meeting. It's crazy. Too many meetings. All your meetings should be focused on some type of customer effort. If it's not, you maybe shouldn't have it. So this is how I create a winning culture. Everybody's focused on something to do with the customer. Can it happen? I've seen it happen. Here's my company that I used to work with. We did Lean Six Sigma at Dell back in 1999. What was that? 2000, how many years later? We're 20 years. So you can see here, this is where it started. If you look at the left, it says BPI benefits. BPI was Dell's version of business process improvement, which was Dell's version of Lean Six Sigma and other methodologies. And what they did is they started Lean Six Sigma as a pilot and manufacturing. I was there. I was one of the first people in that organization to be trained. So in 1999, it was 10 of us. We worked on Lean Six Sigma projects. And as you look at the coding here, blue is the financial benefit, and the circle is the number of certified belts. And you can see there's a strong relationship. If you look on the right here, certified belts from 0 up into the hundreds, and then you look at the money over here. This is into the millions. As you can see, when we first started, we didn't make a lot of money because there was only 10 people trained, and each person came back with $1 million plus. So when we presented to Michael Dell, and he said, what? 10 people got trained, and each one of you came back with $1 million savings? I want this across the entire business at Dell. So from that point on, that was when Dell bought into Lean Six Sigma, when Michael Dell saw the results of 10 people. And from that point, you can see more people were trained the following year. And as you can see, the more he trained, the more money we got, till the point it became part of a winning culture. So at Dell, winning was part of our culture because we used the methodology to get there. And I even pulled this up the other day to see if Dell is still winning, and Dell is still in the top 6 vendors in the world. And it says Dell is number 3 in market share. So whatever they did back then, it's still working. So it's business, operational excellence, and it's through cultural change of business performance. So let's talk about the third topic, continuous improvement. What is continuous improvement? Continuous improvement, I'm going to get into that in a second. I'll break it down for you. And then we're going to get into operational excellence to see the difference between the two. Continuous improvement is simple. It's just improving something. So if I say to you, hey, I'd like to see continuous improvement in how you ride a bicycle. Okay, what does that mean? I'd like to see each day you do something a little bit better than you did the day before. Nothing specific, just a little bit better. Okay, great. All right, so continuous improvement is just getting better. So there's no guarantee that we'll grow. There's no guarantee that we're going to meet the customer needs. All we're going to guarantee is that we're going to be a little bit better than before. So if we got KPIs, if our KPI was reduce defects from 20% to 15%, hey, we made an improvement. But does that 15% mean anything to a customer? Maybe that's an internal KPI and the customer never even sees it. This is where companies get in trouble, where they have an internally focused company and they're looking at their KPIs and wondering why customers are leaving them. And they say, whoa, we got a great continuous improvement plan. Our internal KPIs are the best in the world. Yeah, but you don't have any external KPIs. Do we need those, really? I thought we just had to have a great business. No, as I showed you before, you need to have an external business model as well as an internal business model. And as you can see by these companies right here, BlackBerry, what happened with BlackBerry? They had a great product. They had a great product. They were on top of the food chain for a long time, but they failed to innovate. How do you fail to innovate? Poor customer interaction, not listening to the customer. Nokia, they had a huge market share. What happened to them? They stayed with the keypad. They didn't make innovations to the phone. People moved on. Blockbuster Video, people didn't want DVDs anymore. They wanted to go to streaming. People moved on, no innovation. Kodak, people didn't want to do film anymore and have film developed. They wanted digital. Once again, failed to innovate. You can have all the great improvement in the world, but if you fail to innovate by listening to the customers, your business will fail. You can look at those examples right there. So if continuous improvement is not the answer, what is the answer? Well, let's look at this model first. I'll give you a visual. So if you want to see the visual of continuous improvement, how does it start? It starts at the top. We identify an opportunity. Like I said, it could be an internal KPI. It could be time to receive business supplies. So someone says, hey, it takes us 10 days to get business supplies. We'd like to be able to get it in 5. How does that impact a customer? Not much, but it's a great KPI. So just having a KPI that's not connected to anything is just following this continuous improvement cycle. You find an opportunity, you plan on how you're going to make it better, you execute it, you review it, and then you get another one. And you see here that ticking time bomb? That ticking time bomb is the isolated customer. They're going to sit and wait. And if you finally don't pay attention to them, boom, they're going to explode. They're going to go over to the competitors. You're going to wake up and there's nobody there next to your business, and you might be out of business. So continuous improvement by itself is not good enough. Operational excellence, that's where you want to be. Operational excellence is a mindset. And what you're doing is you're creating sustainable improvement in your organization to meet the needs of the customer. And operational excellence is every member of the organization flowing to meet the value of the customer. So here's some examples here. Creating a best practice is a way to get operational excellence. And also doing Lean Six Sigma, a methodology that's putting together rapid improvement project teams. Lean Six Sigma is putting forth robust design. So doing things to improve using your people is what operational excellence is all about. And here's a good graphic. It says it's all about customer value. And you see that big superstar? Innovation is included. Let's look at what operational excellence includes. It includes innovation. It includes leadership behaviors. Now it actually includes continuous improvement. See, continuous improvement by itself is not enough. But when continuous improvement is combined with these other elements, it becomes something special. And look at it here. Exceed customer expectation is part of the operational excellence. High reliability, strategy alignment, aligning your strategies to be customer centric. I like this one here. Employee engagement, keeping your employees connected to the customer as well. So you're working as one finely tuned machine. So as of 2019, here's a survey. Are customers finding it interesting to look at human capital and optimize? The answer is yes. Look at this. This comes from an annual CEO benchmarking report for 2019. Let's look at the top 5 challenges for CEOs. First one is finding the right talent. So they're still looking for humans. So it didn't say find the right robot. It said find the right talent. So as it is in today's standards, humans are still valuable. So all of you humans that say, oh, I don't want the robots, I'm afraid of my job. It's not about don't be afraid of your job. It's about being cognizant of what the future entails. The future is not about replacement. It's about integration, not replacement. So they're still looking for human talent, but look at the last 4 components they're looking for. I'll read it to them, you can't see. Building better operational processes. That's what I just talked about previously, operational excellence. Aligning the employees with our strategy, operational excellence, I just talked about it. Getting the most out of my people. People engagement, I just talked about it, operational excellence. Creating a great work environment. Once again, customer-centric culture. 1, 2, 3, 4, all right there. Human capital optimization is key for businesses right now. So, are we at the point of rise of the robots? Are robots going to take over? No. As I just said before, it's about integration, not replacement. Last but not least, robust design as a competitive advantage. This is near and dear to my heart. Robust process design. It's about reducing variation in a product or service without eliminating the cause of variation. Just like I said earlier before, it's like the situation with the clean room. The clean room has air everywhere, but inside the dome of the clean room itself, the air is evacuated out, and it's actually they reduce static and all kinds of different things. They treat the air so that there's not contaminants in it. So in a robust process design, you're either making a product or process insensitive to variation. And how do you tell if it's sensitive? You do sensitivity tests, and it'll let you know whether or not your process is sensitive or not insensitive. So the goal of robust design is to develop a final product or service that will continue to run with no interruption, even when the process is subject to noise. Like I said, even though air is around, it's not impacting that situation. So there's a thing called a P diagram, and I'll explain that to you on the next page. What is the P diagram? The P diagram is a diagram that shows you signals and it shows you response. So I'll go back, I'll flip between a picture. So here you got your inputs here into your process. Just consider this your process. You got your inputs to your process, and guess what? There's going to be things we call noise. Noise is anything that's uncontrollable that can happen to your process over time. You can have so say you're making a computer. No, not a computer. Let's make something you got to put together. Say you're making a mouse. You're making a mouse, and you have to glue plastic pieces together. So whenever you glue a mouse together, this piece has to stick to this piece. But this piece might be a little too big. This might be slightly too small. So there might be some variation in how the pieces connect, and it could be some variation piece to piece. Whereas this cover can be, say, 2.2 mils, and the next cover can have a fit of 0.19. It might be a little bit above or below the design that you're looking for. But those minute variations are called noise. And then you might have changes over time, customer unit usage. All of these things are considered noise that you can't control. And this is what you're trying to be robust against. You're trying to design products or services that even when noise is introduced, you're still not going to fail. They actually do this in building structures. You know, around 9/11, when they built the Twin Towers, they said that the Twin Towers would be able to take a direct shot from a missile or some kind of ballistic missile or something like that. It would still be standing. But they never thought about an entire airplane being run into the Twin Towers. So they didn't have any mitigation for that. They weren't robust against that. But they were robust against a lot of things, especially weather. Those Twin Towers sat there for a long time. So it was robust against earthquake. It was robust against bad weather, windstorm, sandstorm, snow, but it was not robust against something that was no one would ever thought happened. So obviously, like I said, when it comes to robust process design, you want to design against known and potentially unknown impacts to your process, this being the process. So you have input parameters, input signals, and control parameters. So between mitigation of noise and understanding your inputs and controlling how the factors that work with the inputs, you can make an intended output and a certain percentage will be unintended output. And the whole key to robust design is have 90 to 99% of your output, the intended, what you're looking for, not the unintended. And I know there's going to be questions around this after I present this. Please save your questions. I don't mind answering because there's a lot of formulas around Taguchi design. So here's another graphic picture once again. How is robust design created? All it is a very simple picture. You have an input that comes in. Say I'm making lemonade. Okay, that's a good example. I'm making lemonade. It says product or process. In this case, I'm making lemonade. What are the key factors to make lemonade? I want lemons. I want another factor. It could be sugar. Another factor could be water. So I can control how many gallons of water, how many lemons, or whatever. I can control the quantities of these things. So I say I got lemons coming in at 5 lemons a gallon, and I got a water coming in. I got a gallon at a time, and I got sugar coming in, 2 cups of sugar, whatever. So I can control all this, and I put it in my process. Uh-oh, here's my noise factor showing up. There could be an earthquake that day. Wow, we can't pour the water or whatever, or we can't mix. It could be a cloudburst, could be thunderstorms. It could be a factory nearby blew up. There's a lot of, or we could have the lemons, we ran out of lemons because there was a shortage of lemons. There's a lot of things that can go wrong that will impact my output. And that's what you're trying to be robust against. Remember, risk management is not robust. Risk management says, these are the noise factors, which are things that can happen. You pay insurance, and if these things happen, we'll pay you off. That's risk management. What we're trying to say is, if these noise factors happen, we want to be able to continue to operate and not let them bother us. And that can be done by design. Just like with the Twin Towers, being designed not to come down under certain conditions of noise. So what did Taguchi say about defects? There's an interesting thing that Taguchi said about defects. I'm going to try and show you this graphic about defects. Taguchi said the traditional way we look at defects is the following. He calls it the goalpost. You see here, they call this the goalpost because this looks like a goalpost of football. If you remember you play sports, you get a ball here and you kick it through the goalpost here, or you run through the goalpost, whatever. The goalpost method of quality was any data or any values below the lower spec limit or above the upper spec limit is considered a loss to the business. It's considered a LOSS, a loss. Anything below that spec limit would be considered a loss. So just imagine I'm making donuts. I'll make this up. I'm making donuts. And say a donut has to be 5.0 millimeters or centimeters or whatever. I don't know how big you want to have miniature donuts or huge donuts, doesn't matter. So say it's 5.0, and the lower spec limit is 4.0, and the upper spec limit is 6.0. With the old way of thinking, if I got a donut that measured in, if one of my donuts measured in at 5.8, at 5.8, guess what? It's still not out of spec. We would consider that a good donut. So under the old standards, if you're inside the goalpost, you made it. Well, Taguchi came up with another technique called the Taguchi loss function. He took a line or a curve, he took a quadratic curve, put it on the target, and shot it off in both directions. He put a quadratic line that way, which made a U all the way to here. And when it crossed the spec limits right there, and it crossed the specs, he said, whenever your process is exactly on target, you're getting 0 losses. 0 loss to the business, which it means, because yeah, you're hitting the target. So the target is 5.0, you're hitting exactly. If you can do it every time, great news. We have 0 losses. But if you were to take and get 5.8, you're off target. What the new Taguchi says, instead of you saying everything's all good because you're within the goalpost, he's got a formula that shows you have a percentage of loss. You get a percentage of loss. So you can say from 0% to 100% of loss, which means you went over the spec limit. So along these lines, you have some level of loss. So by measuring a level of loss, now Taguchi will allow you to back up into excellence. So you can look at where you are today. You can say today, we're averaging a donut at 5.8, but we'd like to be at 5.0. So you can take this 5.8, put it into Taguchi's loss function, and it'll tell you a percentage you are of loss. And then you will look at, as you improve and reduce your variation, you'll see your loss function taking your loss down towards 0, which means your process design is becoming more optimal. I know I spent a lot of time here. I didn't want to get so technical, but I love this stuff. So this is as far as I'm gonna go, but this is like playing video games for me. So anyway, let's keep going. I hope I didn't get too technical for some folks, but this is what robust design is about. Trying to get to 0 loss versus pass fail. That's a new look at quality. All right, let me erase these drawings and move on. All right, moving right along. I hope I'm got my timing down here. All right, next. So how do you achieve robust design? Simple. Engineering. You gotta do it with engineering. So you gotta look at what you're doing and design. You can design processes, you can design products, but it starts with your engineering. So robust design is done before you even start production. But what you can do is you can look at your production now and see how you're failing and push it back to engineering and say, hey guys, get us a robust design, please, so that we can be robust in the future against this. For example, the pandemic. I can give you a for example. I'm in Detroit and I'm welding a frame. Hey, we had a production issue last pandemic. Why? We were welding a frame with a human and they couldn't do the weld of the frame from home. Oh, okay. Well, we don't want to do full robotic automation, but we want them to be able to work from home. Guess what? Just like you can control a drone with a camera system and fly a drone around and fly a drone, why don't you allow them to be able to control a remote robot welder? So whenever the pandemic hits, all the humans go home and you roll out semi-automated robots, because fully autonomous would have AI, which is very expensive. But if humans are still working it, that can drop the price down by so much. So maybe there's certain areas where we roll robots in to replace the humans in a pandemic, and then roll them back and put the human back in there. So that's a very creative way that I came up with, but I know businesses are looking at that now, especially that robot society. All right, so what are the chronological orders to win? I just gave you the chronology to win in any business. Be customer centric, continuously improve, focused on the customer, get operational excellence, get everybody working together, and robust process design. You do those 4, take a snapshot with your cell phone, or you can just snapshot or a screenshot, but this is the money slide. You follow these 4, you can win in just about any industry. Here's my 5 steps to success. This is another one you might want to take a snapshot of. This one here, you won't find in any textbook. This is something that was homegrown for me from over 20-something years in business process improvement. If you follow these 5 steps, you should be able to improve just about anything. I'll give you, for example, say I want to improve a pizza store. Say I got 2 pizza stores. One pizza store is inconsistent and the other one's spot on. So let's look at the problem statement. I'll just talk about the one that has a problem. Here's a problem statement. Pizza delivery is done at about 65 minutes on average, and it's varying as low as 20 minutes sometimes, and it's varying as high as 90 minutes. And that would be my problem statement. It's been happening for a couple of years at a loss of maybe $6 million in revenue annually. So that's a rough problem statement. The next thing I need to do is map the process. What are the steps in order to deliver pizza? Well, I start from getting an order, and I always do a 7-step high-level process map first. What are the 7 steps to map the process? So I might say start out with the order by phone. I might say the next one is get the ingredients. I might say the next one is place the ingredients on the pizza. Next one, that would be the prep. Next one, throw it in the oven. Next one is box it, and then drive it to the location. If you look at each one of those steps, each one of them has a certain time to it. And since my issue was delivery time, I would probably map out the average time for each step. And as you can probably understand, the last step is the step that has the most time and the most variation. So in order to prove this process, I would work on drivers. They probably have the most variation and the most time, depending on where the drivers are driving. So the next thing would be the lean. I will look at the lean and say what steps are wasteful. What can we standardize some of the steps? Can we standardize locations? Maybe when they drive out to get a pizza, instead of going, they can't go maybe no further than a 5-mile radius or 10-mile radius. So you can put standardization, which would be part of lean. So you do all the lean activities, maybe some poke-yoke, you do all the lean to stabilize, then you do Six Sigma, because after you're stable at some point, then you got to remove the variation to get on target. So you might have moved it from 65 minutes on average, now it's down to maybe 40 minutes on average, but it still has a lot of variation. That's when you use the Six Sigma. The Six Sigma is going to allow you to look at the process and look at it with graphs and charts to see how much is varying and be able to target it using different tools. You got different tools such as look at brainstorming, you can look at fishbone analysis, you can look at SciPoc diagrams. There's a ton of tools out there for analyzing your process. So once you analyze it and improve it and control it, then you optimize it. After you optimize it, you might get it to where it's exactly at 30, but sometimes it varies a little bit too much, maybe plus or minus 5. If you want precision beyond that, you might have to give it some automation, like drones. I heard now they got drones delivering pizza. That'll take the human out of it. So blending the humans for the cooking and the drones for delivering, that's semi-automation. And then finally, last but not least, if after you've done the human and machine blend and you're still not getting the optimal target you're looking for, humans have to be removed out. And now it's full automation. Matter of fact, in the yogurt industry, one of my students worked at Dan & Yogurt, and he told me there's no humans in the factory. All they do is they plug in the milk is separated into certain percent fat, and all the machines make it into different types of products to sell, and they make it into yogurt products, and then it's pumped out, and no human hands touch that stuff. So a lot of products and services are moving to fully auto because some of that stuff doesn't need human contact. But what I dislike in business is when someone comes in and says, you know what, we want to digitize everything. This is a bad thing. If you look over there in the block on the left, it says automation should be done only after human optimization. So what you need to do is, when a lot of companies, I know a lot of businesses, such as government, you heard of them going paperless? Well, government is famous for going paperless, but here's the problem. If you have a process that takes 20 humans to work with documentation, and you ask the humans, what are you doing? They say, we're working with documentation, and we have 20 people that do it. And they say, okay, we can automate this now. So they're gonna look at what all these 20 people are doing and automate all the activities of the 20. Well, guess what? If you did Lean and Six Sigma, you might have found that some of the human actions were wasteful. And if they were wasteful, you shouldn't have been doing them. And if you automate it, you're automating something you should have been doing, which is wasteful. So my point is, if you jump from problem statement right to automation, you pretty much destroyed yourself. What you really need to do to be successful is look at what the humans are doing today and optimize the utilization of the humans, and whatever is left over, then you add those value-added activities to automation, and that's how you automate wisely. There's poor automation, which is problem auto, and the wise way to automate is problem, lean, Six Sigma, human optimization, and whatever humans are doing that's valuable, only optimize that and innovate off of that. There you go. So here's the visuals around what I talked about. When you look at the problem statement, that's the beginning of everything. A lot of times companies don't even look at the problem statement correctly. There's a tool called the 5 Whys that allows you to look at the root cause or the root problem. So really it says here, why are we not selling more? If I think in my mind and I tell my boss, hey, VP, SVP, do you know why we're not selling more? I would think it's probably sales. We need to get more sales folks. Another VP might say, you know what? I think it's most likely our sales folks are not trained well enough, or our products are not good enough and people don't want to buy them. Well, let's look at this. That's not reality. If you do the 5 Whys and you ask, why are we not selling more? We're not able to produce more. And then you ask, why there? Why can't we make more? Because we've reached our production capacity. Hey, why do we reach capacity? We don't have enough developers. So why are we missing developers? We have to use the budget for training. We had to use the budget for training. Why is that? The CFO cut it in order to save money. So it was the CEO that caused the CFO caused the problem. So in your mind, what you'll find is the problems that you're working on are not really the right problems. So what you find is, if you work on the wrong problem, you're going to get a bad result. So please, guys, for now on, before you start on any process improvement, make sure you got the right problem. And what you'll find is, The real problem is like what we did after 5 whys, and all the others are symptoms. Here's what I told you about lean, value add and non-value add. Quick process check, Rissy. How many more minutes I have?
I think I would say 5 more, 5 or 10 max, because then we have some question, Aline, and we need to answer them.
Okay, all right. So I'll kind of whip through this piece because I went over a lot. We're almost done anyway. So the whole key is why lean design. And the key is, if you look at these red areas, this is looking at a total continuous process. If you look at this total continuous process, look what's involved. Sales and marketing, scheduling, procurement, manufacturing, all of these things in green are what we call value. Value, 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 value. If you take this whole process and put it together, there's red stuff, which is waste, connected to non-value. And it says here, the red here is unneeded process time. The red here, waiting for something, waiting for whatever. This red here, transportation, waiting for some transportation. Over here, over processing. So waste can be clearly identified in your process. And what you'll find is, if you took all the slices of green out, look how much is valuable. If you squeeze all this together, look how big that is compared to the whole processes today. You can see that value is probably 1/3 of the whole entire time. So this is why you should do lean first before you do improvement, in a way that you can mistake proof. So what is lean? Waste removal and efficiency. There's another way to improve use with lean called mistake proofing. As you can see by design, I wanted to be able to put a hole through a piece of wood, but I don't want to actually go all the way through the wood. I just want to put a hole to a certain depth, and you put a depth gauge right there. So every time it comes down, it goes no further than that. Every time it goes down, it goes no further. That guide is a way to keep you from making a mistake. Here's another one, by design, a robust design. Right here, before, you can have the little side down or the big side down. You want the little side down, so you make a feature that attaches to it, these little lip right here. You make it so that it can only fit one side. That's by design. Six Sigma, by design again. You can see you have spec limits here, like I told you before. Whenever you have specs, if your process varies too much, you're making defects out of specs. Now you can actually have an average that shifts from the center. At least this one here, you can be wide but centered. Here, you're too wide and not centered. So you're centered, you're not even centered, you're outside the specification. You're making more defects here than you are here. So what is better? It's better to be centered and vary a little bit than off center and be wide as well. And the best way is to be on target and centered and be within specs. And if you want to be even better, have less variation right there. So Six Sigma is about variation. This is a 3 Sigma process, 3 standard deviations from the mean to the spec. And Six Sigma is 6 smaller standard deviations from the mean to the spec. So the smaller your standard deviation is, the more sigmas you can put from the mean to the nearest spec, which means you have a tighter process. So I'll kind of slide through these and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up. So why did they combine Lean and Six Sigma together? Because Lean stabilizes you by removing waste. Six Sigma optimizes you by reducing variation and putting you on target. And you put it together, you get Lean Six Sigma, which would be cost reduction, profitability, growth, and you'll get excellent scores from your customers. So when do you do Six Sigma? Well, you do Six Sigma before, during the design process, and you do it after in an existing process. Design for Six Sigma is for robust design. Six Sigma, the standalone, is for existing processes. And here's the last picture I'll show you regarding robust design. Robust design is this picture. As you can see, this input, it varies. This is your output. Watch what's interesting about this output and input. Here, whenever my process starts from here and it starts moving, as my input value starts going up, what's happening to my output? My output is going up. As this is moving, it's going up. And even when it starts going down, it's still going up. So look at here. As you can see here, there's a difference. And it's kind of flat. You see how it's flat? So even though I'm moving a lot, I'm moving the same distance from here to there. I'm moving the same distance. I'm only getting a slight movement in the output there, but a big movement in the output here. This means that this process is very sensitive at this point, and at this point, it's very, very robust. So if this was an input you were playing with and you wanted to get a robust output, you would probably use this one because this one is too sensitive. You guys get it? So you have to look at the curvature of your output to understand where you can start to look at robust design. So that's pretty much it. So like I said, Lean Six Sigma has an element called Design for Six Sigma, which is for robust design. And here's an example here, a financial institution. They determined that only a redesign was the only way they're going to improve this process. And at the end of the day, the net benefit was $1.9 million, and they had a recurring annual benefit of $3 million. So it works. This stuff works, and not just in manufacturing, but in financial services. So in conclusion, robustness strategy is the key to winning. Variation reduction, addressing variation, addressing noise. Lean Six Sigma is the best approach to get gains in cost reduction, and also to mitigate against variation and noise interruptions. Robust strategy is to prevent problems, business disruptions by optimizing product designs, manufacturing processes to achieve customer expectations. So what are your next steps for you? Your next steps are to look into Lean Six Sigma. We're actually going to have a class. I think Rissy is going to tell you when I have a class either next week or the following in Lean Six Sigma at the beginning level green belt. So once you get the green belt, you can learn how to identify these areas to learn how to start to improve them to be robust. That's one piece. Customer-centric business. I gave you the model for that. Start looking at your mission and vision and see how you can start working towards that. Then the Six Sigma will allow you to get your operational excellence as part of your strategy. You're going to have your leadership that's buying into Lean Six Sigma so that it can be a part of everything you do as a culture. And then last but not least, use robust design and engineering when you design new products and services so that you can have a competitive advantage and not have to rely solely on risk management, but rely on robust design so that you can save yourself in the event of the next pandemic or some event that you don't understand. Thank you very much. I'm Tyrone Butler. I'm open for Q&A. All right. Rissy, you got it.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice presentation, Tyrone. So now we're moving to the next part, question and answers. So Tyrone, go on the question panel, and you have laid there all the questions, since the beginning of this webinar. So just click open it, and yeah, you will have all the questions there.
Let's see. For some reason, I see the attendee panel, but I see chat. I don't know if I have the capability of seeing the question panel from here.
Okay.
I don't.
Just give me, or you want me to read them in case?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, because I don't see it on my screen.
Yeah, we'll start with question number 1 from Anil Nair. How long it will take recovery of economy?
That's a good question. It depends on the testing. The economy right now is relying on creative ways to allow businesses open. I know businesses like Walmart, They're still relying on social distancing. I didn't see any redesign yet. So my point is they haven't redesigned the process. They just separated people by 6 feet. So whenever you go in the checkout line, you have 6 feet of space between each person, and they have plexiglass shields between you and the cashier. So my answer to you is most businesses haven't adopted or changed to make new processes robust. They're just using the original process with plastic guards and distancing in order to continue business. And I don't see a stop anytime soon of this practice. So I don't see there won't be any normalcy like we used to know. It's all going to be changed.
All right. There is another gentleman. His name is Tahir Al-Balushi. He's asking robust product or service design?
Both. If you have a product, definitely get with your engineering team, find out all the things that can potentially, all the same risk factors that you can have with risk management should be fed into your design team so that you don't have to get insurance against it. You can design against it. This is the key point. Stop chasing loss mitigation insurance and invest in managing your processes. That's better money spent.
Okay. Then there is another question from Zahid Hashmi. Is process management a substitute to risk management?
I wouldn't substitute. Process management and risk management should go hand in hand. I think they should work together, actually. I think right now they work in a vacuum. Process management, the way I've traditionally seen it, never talks to risk management. Risk management is in their own world, looking at losses, mitigation, and trying to identify risk. And business process people are just trying to make customers happy and make the internal business more efficient. They don't even look at risk at that level. But I think going forward, after this pandemic, yes, risk management and process management need to sit together, and whatever can't be mitigated through process management, those will be the only things we put on insurance plan for risk management. That would be the best model.
Okay. There is another gentleman, Rashid Al-Namani. He's asking, Six Sigma and lean management is a must to which level of employees in any organization? So
good question. Yeah, as I showed you, I can go back a couple of slides. I'm going to go back a couple of slides. What I showed you at Dell Computers, we trained everybody. We had 100% of the population trained at Dell. I can find right here. At Dell, look at this, it's into the thousands of employees. So as you can see, we started out with in the main areas of the business, the main customer focus areas. Remember, there's different levels of belts. I didn't show it, I ran out of time. But there's yellow belt, green belt, black belt, master black belt. At the lower levels, you're gonna have almost 80 to 90% of your population will either be yellow belt or white belt familiarization training. Then you're gonna have your project leaders. The next level will be green belt. Those are the people that are gonna be working on the projects to give you robust design and give you operational excellence. That's gonna be your green belts. Black belts are the next level up. There's gonna be the mentors, and they're gonna be managing the green belts that are working on these projects. And usually black belts are working on the multi-million-dollar projects, and the green belts are usually working on the projects that are $1 million and under, depending on obviously the size of your company. So to answer your question, who should be trained? Everyone. It will not become culture until everyone knows what's going on.
okay. I think there is a guy, Mohammed Itan. He got a very good point, due to the pandemic issue. His question is the following. Economists and media claims that effective supply chains, mainly led by lean approach, are behind the fragility of corporation dealing with this pandemic. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I'd say that lean supply chains are definitely in trouble in the pandemic. You know why? because lean supply chains tell you to limit your safety stock. It tells you to limit the inventory you sit on, which makes sense. For example, say I make masks, and I only have 50,000 yards of material. The pandemic hits, nobody else has material, and my supplier can't supply me anymore because they can't get people to work because they're all humans. Because they're all humans and they can't work, I don't have a supply to back up my supply I have now. I didn't know there was going to be a domino effect that was going to impact my suppliers, my supplier, and my supplier. If you get what I'm saying, it's a domino effect. So no one saw this coming with this pandemic and its ripple effect. So in this particular case, lean got in trouble because it was running on just-in-time manufacturing, which means products arrive just in time. You don't carry inventory. Carrying inventory is quite expensive because inventory is not cheap. But in a pandemic situation, because you didn't carry inventory, you're running dry, you're running out, you're taking losses. I know some people right now that are begging for material to make masks. They have people that are ready to make masks, but no raw materials. And and I even heard Wendy's is not having any hamburgers anymore because they ran out of meat, because they can't get people to work on the farms to give the produce for the burgers. And without the farmers, there's no produce. And without the produce of the burgers, there's no sandwiches. So no one saw this ripple effect coming. So I wouldn't say lean was the problem. I would say in this time, in this scenario, lean didn't understand the ramifications of a pandemic, but they know now going forward. Okay.
To another one, there is a guy, Sanwasi. His question is the following. As you mentioned, use of robots in a process in this situation isn't a good option, but isn't it true that we are creating future threat for the employment in the industry? I don't know what he wants to ask.
That's a good question. What you're gonna have to realize is at some point, humans are not gonna work anymore. It's just coming to that. And as we get to that point, I don't know if it'll be in 5 years, I don't know if it's 10, I don't know if it's 20. But I'll give you a per example if I can. Let me see if I can change something. There's a famous guy, Jack Ma, who from Alibaba. Jack Ma said that we're going to be going to a very short work week. He said over time, we're going to go to, I believe he's saying something like 4-hour work week or something like that. Let me see, yeah, here it is, Jack Ma, 4-hour work week. Let me show you this on the internet if I can bring this up. This is Jack Ma, he's a futurist. People could work as little as 3 days a week, 4 hours a day, and with the help of technology, robots. Jack Ma says that the current education system is outdated. It's modeled for the industrial period, and he foresees a day when machines can outsmart humans in every area of memory and repetitive skills. So what he's saying is, at some point, robots and AI are going to be doing a lot of things humans are doing, but it's not going to replace them, but we're going to be integrated with them. So to answer your question, yeah, there's going to be a lot of jobs replaced by automation. I'll just pull up that for you. Jobs replaced by automation. I want you to be clear. I don't want to be gray. Robots replacing humans. It's a fact. They're going to replace telemarketing, bookkeeping. You can do your own research. Even doctors are going to be replaced by AI. So it's coming. It's going to replace up to 20 million factory jobs. So it's coming. But guess what? This pandemic just opened the eyes of all the CEOs. Most of the CEOs were thinking about going robotic maybe 5, 10, 20 years from now. But after billions of dollars in losses because humans couldn't work, humans are requiring a stimulus package. Humans require so much to live. They're like, forget all this. We're just going to put humans to the side, and we're going to probably go robots a little bit more. And I hate to say it, but that's the future. The future is robots are moving forward, replacing a lot of jobs, but I don't see all. But you're going to say, what are humans going to do with their time? Humans are going to be selling through the internet. That's what Jack Ma said. He said, everybody, matter of fact, they're doing it now. I know people here who didn't have a home business. There's so many people starting businesses right now since the pandemic. People are sitting at home. What do I do with myself? I got some friends starting an LLC to sell artwork. Another one selling T-shirts. So everyone's getting creative with this newfound time on their hands. And before you know it, it's going to explode on the internet with a lot of people being entrepreneurs and finding creative ways other than their 9-to-5. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Tyrone, for the nice explanation. There is a guy, Ahmed Boyonis, and his question is the following. Is it a good practice to determine risks for every and each business's process in the company? Or should we only focus in the main value chains, process groups? That's it.
That's a good one. I like that question, by the way. Very good. I would say it depends on time, money, and resources. I would actually prioritize the most, because risk management already does this already. Risk management can prioritize the highest risk areas if an event happens with business continuity management. So understanding business continuity as well as risk together, working together with business process management, oh man, you got the perfect scenario. But to answer your question, should you only look at the high priority ones and not look at the other ones? No, I would say look at as many as you can and improve as many as you can and ensure, if needed, as many as you can. I think it's like the philosophy of continuous improvement. Should you ever stop improving? No. So risk management should be the same way. Should you ever stop managing risk? No. You keep managing it in creative ways more and more and more and more as you drive your business. Will you ever get to the point where you manage every risk? No, because there's always something unusual that might come out of the woodwork that you didn't plan for. And then you have to put that in your risk management plan for next time.
All right, moving to the next one. Gentleman, Rainer, his question is the following. Hi, sir. There is one saying, if you don't know the solution, it means Six Sigma projects.
That's very close. There's two ways to look at what is a Six Sigma project. There's two ways. One is if you know the answer to the problem, then we call that a just do it project. For example, we have a productivity problem. Say a CEO says, oh, we're not getting enough done in a workday. And we ask the CEO, he says, Tyrone, take this project. We're not getting enough work done in a workday. And I say, okay, I can look into that. Why is all the work not getting done? But he says, before you do that, I want you to take away lunch. I says, why that? Why is that? I want to take away lunch. I think that's going to solve my problem. If he already knows what to do to solve the problem, that's not a Six Sigma project. So if you know the answer already, it's just a matter of feasibility study to see if what you said is correct and you validate it. That's a feasibility study. But if there is an unknown, like you're asking the question, why are we having defects on line 5? We don't know why. If the answer is unknown, then you have to investigate it using Lean and Six Sigma tools. Yes. So the simple answer is, if you don't know the answer to the question or problem, then you probably can use Lean Six Sigma to discover and find out what the root cause is. But if you already know what you want to do to improve, then just go do it. And some people also ask another question. What's the difference between project management, PMI, and PMP, and Lean Six Sigma? Project management is when you get time, money, and resources assigned to you, and you know what you're going to be working on from day one. They tell you what you're going to work on, and they give you a timeline to get it done. That's project management, because you know what the project is. Here, Lean Six Sigma is a process improvement effort that's a project based on unknown. We have a problem on line 25. We got a 30% defect rate. We don't know why, but we know the output, and we can measure the output, and we can look at the process, and we can look at the inputs, and we can look and see if we have a design issue, or we have a process issue, a design issue, or a people issue. So now you got discovery. So project management is execution of what you want to do that you know you want to do. And Lean Six Sigma is discovery of something that's potentially broken or inefficient, and we want to know how to make it better. That's the difference between the two methodologies.
Okay, moving to the next one. Where is the timeline to move from CIP to operational excellence?
The timeline, it depends on what you're working on. As far as timing goes, if it's a very complex product, obviously it could be a few months. If it's a very simple product, it could be a few days or a few weeks. So really, your capability you're looking for is really going to be driven by the complexity. And when I say complexity, how many moving parts, how many things are attaching. Like I say, a computer, a Dell computer has hundreds and hundreds of things being attached. So understanding the capabilities of that computer before launch and doing robust design is going to take a lot longer time than if I did the capability on a brand new mouse, which maybe has, you know, a small percentage of what a computer would have. So the key would be complexity. Complexity dictates how capable you can be and how quickly you can move forward from design to production.
Okay, there is Tahir. His question is the following: any company had good plan for the pandemic? I don't know if you have any data on this.
Well, I can't say what, because good is a very relative word, but I would say some companies that showed resiliency. That's the word they're using. When companies are hit with a situation and it doesn't seem resilient mean they bounce, but they bounce back. They got pushed back a little bit, but they came back strong. I could say some of those people, the groups were like Amazon. I'll give Amazon a opportunity. Amazon was very resilient. When the pandemic first hit, Amazon was overwhelmed. Everybody went from buying in the stores overnight, they're buying from Amazon. I remember when the pandemic hit, it took me, normally with Prime, I can get something in 3 days or less. As soon as the pandemic hit, it was going up to 3 weeks. I was like, oh my God, my favorite things I like to buy takes 3 weeks now. But over the last couple of months and the last few weeks, they're back down so they can get stuff here in 6 days and 4 days. That's amazing. Even with all the volume of people buying on Amazon, they're hiring like crazy. So another good company is the pharmacy, Walgreens, the Grubhub, the people that are sending food to your house, they're bouncing back. So I think a lot of companies got hit with the initial, whoa, we got to double overnight. But a lot of them were very resilient. Some couldn't, but a lot of the strong ones did. So I named a couple.
Okay, Muhammad Al-Hashmi, is asking the following: how to understand customer risks?
How to understand customer risk? It's not really just customer risk; it's risk in general. And like I said, it depends on your industry. Certain industries are going to, for example, right now, if you were to look at the entertainment, let's look at Disneyland. Disneyland, for instance. The old risk at Disneyland was what? Risk of terrorism attack. Actually, I know some people that work in the industry of entertainment. I forgot what this term is, but when there's big gatherings of entertainment, I forgot the term, but my buddy works in this area. He works where there's like football stadiums, soccer stadiums, anywhere there's a mass gathering of people, the risks are all the same. Every stadium has the same type of risk. There's a risk of terrorism. There's a risk of people getting trampled. There's a risk of fire. There's a risk of fights in the stands. So all of these common risks are risks associated with a certain industry. So my point would be, I can't give you a list of a certain set of risks as a standard, but I can say this: every industry that has a certain group of activities has its own set of risks that are very similar. And once you know those risks, you can just add or subtract based on how well you can improve your processes through robust design.
Okay, there is the guy. He's asking, Tyrone, could you please elaborate more on the human optimization? Just put more lights on what you just said.
Yeah, human optimization. If you look at what I said with the Lean and Six Sigma, I'll show you my presentation again. The human optimization is critical. I'm glad somebody captured that idea. Let me see where I said that. Human optimization. Here, human optimization. Okay, remember I said use Lean and Six Sigma. Now, if I go here, you're gonna see something interesting. This picture, Lean. Why was Lean created? Lean was created because they had processes at Toyota, and they had processes that made cars. Back when Toyota started making cars, it was almost 100% humans. Back in the 1940s, there was very few machines doing work. So the humans would have to pick up windshield wipers and screw them in, pick up tires and screw them in. So you had to optimize the use of your humans. So Lean would say, hey, we're picking up this, we're putting that, we're doing this. And then they say, you know what? We can find a way to put on the tires without two people. How can we do that? We'll add a machine. We got a thing called a hoist. We'll take this hoist and put one tire on it. A person could use two fingers, put it on there, hit a button, it'll actually mount the tire. We'll say, oh, last year it took us two people and two drivers to put that tire on, and it also took a lot of time. It took two people and two drivers approximately 32 seconds to put on a tire. And we documented that. And they say, yeah, we know. And we realized that carrying a tire is no value, it's not adding the value. What do you mean carrying a tire is not adding value? From the customer's point of view, does the customer want to pay for two people holding a tire? No. What does the customer want to pay for? The tire being mounted. So anything other than the mounting of the tire, the customer doesn't care. So if there's a better way of mounting it than carrying it with two people, let's do it. Thus, the technology comes along. So what happens in Lean is Lean actually allows you to take 20 humans, and by using technology from 20 humans, you can now do it quicker with 5 or 6 humans. So Lean gives you speed. You get speed, and when you get your speed, then that's optimization of your humans, because now instead of 10 humans, 5 of them doing wasteful stuff, we got 5 other humans in another part of the business that's adding value. The whole key to human optimization is having humans do things that are adding value, not non-value. Matter of fact, let me show you one more thing. I'm going to show you something that's going to be really hit home for you. It's called the 7 deadly wastes. Just so you can see where I'm coming from. This is the picture I wanted you to see. The 7 deadly wastes. This guy right here. This guy right here, the 7 deadly wastes. These are the 7 wastes we work from in Lean. Overproduction. Overproduction is when you make too many things and you can't sell it. All of this inventory is waste. Inventory. making too many things that you can't sell. That's waste. Waiting, people waiting on parts, waiting on machines down. That's waste. Motion, people unnecessary movement throughout the factory. That's wasted motion of people. Transportation, unnecessary movement of people and parts between procedures. Rework, every time you have a rework, a defect, every time you have a rework, you know what that means? That means I made it once, found a mistake, and had to make the same thing a second time. So if I made 100 units, 10 of them had to be reworked. That means I made 110 in reality, but only 100 were sellable. You guys get my point? You gotta optimize the use of your people before you go automate. If you don't, you're gonna automate wasteful things, which is reason why a lot of automations fail, because the automation company comes in and automates the wasteful human stuff. And they know what the humans say? Oh man, we're worse than when we started out. Before I had a backlog of only 20 invoices. Now, since automation, I got a backlog of 2,000. You know why? Because you're doing silly, wasteful stuff faster. And when you do wasteful stuff faster, your inventory of waste is going to stack up. And that's why you should never automate before you look at optimizing your units. That's it.
Okay, Ahmed Raza, is asking the following: any relation of the oil price crash with the pandemic?
Repeat that again.
Any relation of oil price crash with the pandemic?
Oh yeah, there's definitely some ripple effects. To explain it all, I wouldn't be able to explain it all, but I will say that they're trying to balance out the economy. There's a lot of losses in a lot of different countries. This is kind of a global question, and I hate to, because it's geopolitical. It's going to get into a little politics with China, how China is selling PPE to a lot of countries, and then they're running short on PPE, and then they don't wind up selling it. There's a lot of political positioning, and with the oil, I think there's some political positioning there as well. But politics is something I want to stay away from, because I can't put a technical number on it. And if I say something and political, someone's gonna say, "Hey, Tyrone, you're biased." So I don't want to answer anything that can have a political twist on it. But I can give you my personal opinion. My personal opinion: I believe that oil prices are fluctuating due to the fluctuations in the economy due to the pandemic, and I believe that they're being fluctuated to the benefit of the country that's doing the fluctuation. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you, Tyrone. What is your view to the airline industries, airline companies after the pandemic?
Whoa, I got some friends that, man, it seems like I got friends that work everywhere. I'm well connected. I got some friends that work at the airline. They're still working there. What's amazing is they're laying off a lot of people, but they're keeping their core senior people there. And I'm like, what are you guys doing if you're not flying planes? They're just showing up to work, cleaning things. And this is crazy. What they should be doing is, if they're showing up to work and they're still getting a paycheck and they're not launching planes, this would be a perfect time to do Lean Six Sigma, robust design and process improvement. I'll give you a perfect example. Toyota was very smart. When Toyota got in trouble, if you guys remember, Toyota had a big recall with a gas pedal. Remember that, Rissy? Toyota had a problem with the gas pedal.
Yep.
Well, they stopped production. But when Toyota stopped production, I actually went to one of the plants in Austin where they actually make the Toyota Tundra. And I asked one of the general managers, I said, what did you guys do when you had that big recall and you couldn't make any units for almost 2 months? What did you do? Did you lay off half your people? He said, no. I said, why didn't you? He said, if we laid off half of our people, that would do something to them culturally. They would be afraid to come back. And also, they wouldn't come back to the exact position they left. So now we're opening ourselves up for defects. There would be gaps in continuity. There would be gaps in our capabilities. And rather than create these gaps, they figured it'd be more expensive to lay everybody off and have to reconnect them and deal with quality issues. It's better to keep everyone, give them a paycheck, and work on continuous improvement projects in lean. And guess what? For 2 months, they worked on continuous improvement projects, and they were able to improve productivity when they started back even better than when they stopped. That's the way they should do things in all companies.
All right. There is a finance guy, seems like Tamer. Where is the connection? Is asking about the connection, robust process for financial department. Any examples?
Oh, good. Yeah. Let's see. You know what? I don't have one on top of my head, but let me take it as Rissy, take that as a note. I will send that. I don't know how you can get it to everyone, Rissy, but everyone interested in a couple of examples of robust design, have them email you, Rissy. I got a ton of examples. So if anybody wants some robust design examples by industry, have them send a request to you. I'll send it.
All right.
Tons of.
Next one, Kamal Chetaya. How the pandemic will affect the telecommunication if it will continue till end of the year? How will affect 5G technology?
Good question. 5G technology is rolling out throughout the United States. I can't really speak on Europe and the globe, but I know right now the Trump administration said that as they roll it out, they're going to roll it out step by step. I don't know what the master plan is as far as a date. I haven't seen a date. I don't know if there is a real date, but everyone's priority right now is just trying to put their hands around the pandemic. Everyone's focus is around obviously trying to get immunization and trying to protect people. And the 5G rollout is definitely something that is going to be looked at in a very focused way. But I don't have any, personally, I don't have any dates, nor have I seen any date of what that might be. Matter of fact, let me Google it real quick and see if there's something out there for the US. Let me see. 5G implementation date, just out of curiosity, see if something is published. 5G implementation date, USA. I know there's been some talk about it. 5G rollout last year. This is just 5G by the end of, said last year that half of US will have access to 5G by 20, but that's not since the corona. It says coronavirus may fast forward 5G. No one knows. I don't know. These are probably guesses. Outbreak, rising road, advance, more 5G. Maybe because there's more people that's getting on the net, they might be forced to. Because I do find, and you probably all found that. Guess what? Have you noticed lately your internet connections are slower? How about you, Rissy? I noticed my connection is slower.
It's true.
It's slower. I think it's because a lot of people are on.
Right.
You know. And also, Rissy, I noticed that televisions and electronic devices are scarce. It's two things. There's no boats from China bringing these consumer electronics right now, and they're not being replaced. So they're not being replaced, and because people at home, they're using more consumer products. I went to buy a 55-inch television the other day for my bedroom. 55-inch televisions are sold out at Walmart. You can't even buy one. I went to 5 different stores. No TVs, no TV. I couldn't believe it. I never heard of such a thing. Not even, I said, I'll take a 40-inch. 0 TVs, Tyrone. Rissy, they said 0 TVs. I couldn't get a pocket-sized TV. Everything's gone. And I said, well, what am I going to do? They said, come back in the morning. I came back in the morning. It was sold out within an hour. We're in crazy times.
Okay, thank you, Tyrone. So, few more questions before we end this webinar. The next one is from Muhammad Darwish, and his question is the following: due to the current situation, how long company will take to recover the situation and transfer in the new mode of operation to the reduced the impact of economy issue, and improve process. What's your opinion, Tyrone?
Oh, my opinion. Okay, you want my opinion? Good.
Right.
I'm glad you said opinion because I don't have all the answers, but I give you my opinion. My opinion is, I believe it's a 12 months. I believe in 12 months, starting from today, I believe in 12 months, all of the companies are going to figure out what the new normal is. The new normal is not what you see. I went to get food the other day. All it was takeout. They got a new thing called contactless delivery. If you want food now, let's see what they do. They give the food here, and there's the table. Okay, you touch it, sir. They don't give it to you anymore. There's no hand-to-hand like this. Everything is contactless. And I said, man, and guess what? They brought me some food receipt, and I got upset. It was contactless. He put my food on the floor. That's not good. So my point is, there's ants could be eating my food. You know what I mean? You can't put my food on the floor. But this is the point. My point is, as we go towards the new normal, we need to get creative in our design, a robust design, so that as we go contactless, we're not impacting the desires of the customer. You know what he could have done, Rissy? He could have got a Ziploc bag, a Ziploc airtight bag, and put my food in there and sat it there. That could have been there for 2-3 hours. No ants would have got it. But he's only dropping a paper bag ants can get. Come on, man. I was very upset when I said, my food is there. And then he didn't tell me. You know why he didn't tell me? He didn't want to ring my bell because it's contactless. So what I'm telling you is, so what's my point? In 1 year, the normalcy will catch up. All of the businesses will realize how to deal with the new customer, the contactless customer. They're going to learn how to deal with us. And by that time, I give it 12 months, it's going to be the new normal. When I see Rissy, no more fist bumping Rissy. I'm going to go like this, elbow, something like this, or I go like this, or virtual high five like that. That's all we're going to have, Rissy. No more touching like this.
Okay, one of your ex-delegates, students, Muhammad al-Shaikhi, if you remember.
I already know
Yes.
Muhammad. Come on,
he's asking the following. I have read an article about industry, and it says that industries would replace Six Sigma. How would you respond to this?
Which industries? What do you mean industries? I don't understand.
Industry 4.0. I mean, it just asking
like,
yeah.
Oh, Muhammad, I'm gonna get him for that. Muhammad, you know what? I'm prepared. Let me tell Muhammad, in class, Muhammad used to pick on me. You know why? He doesn't realize I'm prepared for everything he can throw at me. All right, Muhammad, I'm gonna show you once again. Once again, I was ready for you, Muhammad. Stay right there. No one move. No one move. I'm gonna show you something. I was ready for Muhammad. Watch this. Okay, Muhammad, you asked about industry 4.0 and all that. Guess what? I'm gonna go into the bonus rounds. All of you people that stuck around, you stuck around for the right choice. I'm going into bonus round. I had this just for here. You see? Q&A? Watch the next one, Rissy. What does that say up top, Rissy? Bonus time. You see that? That's bonus time. Now I'm going to show you the bonus stuff. Semi-automation, I told you, is humans working with automation. So see, one human and automation. That's semi-automation. Next one, semi-automation. A human working with a robot. Semi-automation still. Robot, human, still working together. Semi-automation. Full automation. This is what everyone's afraid of. No people. No people. Now, why do we even going to change? Now I'm going to answer Muhammad's question. Why change? Why change? Why isn't Six Sigma going to be replaced, Tyrone? No. Lean Six Sigma works with digital transformation. Digital transformation, some people thought was going to replace Lean Six Sigma because they're saying if there's only going to be robots there, and you said Lean and Six Sigma is optimizing human capital. If there's no human capital, why do you need Lean Six Sigma? Well, I'm going to show you why. To guide digital transformation. As I told you before, as you're transferring from a digital process, digitalization is the process of transitioning from analog people to digital data. Now, as you're digitalizing, it's the process of making digitized information work for the business, which now it becomes a transformation. This transformation is the automation that I talked about. It's the 20 people that were doing a process, and we said of those 20, 5 of them can be replaced by doing some technology and only leaving value, and only the value will be digitally transformed. So my point to you is, as you go to digital transformation, until you're 100% automating in everything, you're going to need Lean Six Sigma. Now, to answer your question, Mohammed, if we have a business where there's no humans, no CEOs, no nothing, if it's 100% automated, then all of us got to sit at home. That's it. But as long as there's leadership and there's people doing maintenance and there's people that's doing some type of guidance or guiding machines, you're going to have Lean Six Sigma to understand how to guide. Remember, Lean Six Sigma is continuous, it's process improvement, not just people improvement. That's the key. And remember, look at this. Customers expect greatness. Why do customers leave a company? Customers believe you don't care about them. They're dissatisfied, but the biggest one is they believe you don't care about them. 76% of consumers expect companies to understand their needs and their expectations. Here's where he wanted to go. Here's the 4 industrial revolutions. 1.0 was the mechanical revolution. 2.0, that's the electrical revolution. 3.0, that's automation and computers. Now we're today 4.0. And that's what Muhammad was asking. Is Industrial Revolution 4.0 going to replace Six Sigma? And the answer is no. It's going to guide cyber physical systems. It's going to guide Internet of Things, and it's going to guide smart technologies. So, Muhammad, I was ready for you. And also, I took it one more level, Muhammad, just for you. I went to Industry 5.0, not 4, which is mass customization. Mass customization and cyber physical cognitive systems, which is going to be even more in depth because it's going to enable exoskeletons, drones, blockchain, 3D printing, 5G, mixed reality. All of these things are going to be components of technical enablers of 5.0. Now that was your bonus. Hopefully I got you, Mohammed.
That was a brilliant answer. Thank you very much, Tyrone. As always. Okay, this is the last one for today, and the question comes from Kamar, and the question is the following: this pandemic has forced the management to revise their HR strategies. What is your opinion? I know it's not that much related,
yeah,
but still.
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. As I showed you earlier, the top 4 challenges of CEOs was what? Human talent, right? So CEOs definitely have to look at who they're hiring, and they have to look at what the capabilities are. So from now on, when HR hires, they should hire with the thought process, instead of the job description that says your job is to answer phones, it's to, you know what a typical job description says, the ability to look at the supply chain, ability to make cognitive decisions. Those are mental things that are in a job description. But now they're going to include physical things and cyber things. They're going to now go into job descriptions. So now instead of just saying, oh, can you answer this question? Can you be cognitive on these decisions? It's going to say, this job description requires the ability to work from home and work physically here. You have to have the ability to log on to a high-tech computer and have a security clearance of this. You now have to have, so there's going to be add-on things that'll be added to a job description that HR needs to add in. That's one piece. And HR needs to now prioritize what jobs are going to be posting, because a lot of jobs are going to be not even in offices. A lot of companies are going to rethink office space, because there's a lot of offices that are empty now. And when they bring everybody back, they're going to be like, we can only work with one of them, and those other two can be shut down and save money. So a lot of companies are going to get real creative with the HR. So yeah, it's going to be a new ball game.
Okay, that was it, Tyrone. Thank you very much on behalf of LEORON and all attendees. I would like one more time to thank you. It was very valuable. We had enjoyable time, and we got a very useful knowledge from your experience. I know you are
There's
one
still
of
114 people there waiting for more.
All right. For all of you folks, see you next week. We will be running the ASQ certified Six Sigma Green Belts. So definitely this topic next week during this training will be more deployed with more, infos, more projects, how you can implement in your company the Six Sigma and why Six Sigma is very useful and very important due to the current situation. So one more time, I would like to thank you everybody, and on your email you will receive a certificate of attendance. So definitely you would like to get some certificates after this all. Thank you very much. Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Thank you, Tyrone, one more time. Enjoy. See you next time. Bye bye.
Okay, guys. Hasta la vista. Hey, Mohammed, I was ready for you. Hasta la vista. Ciao.